You've got a bunch of far-right Republican members of Congress right now that are pushing House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to expunge the impeachment of Donald Trump. Both impeachments of Donald Trump, actually. They want them gone. They want them stricken from the congressional record. And Kevin McCarthy, in his ongoing efforts to constantly appease Donald Trump, appears more and more likely each day to be willing to go along with this idea to expunge Donald Trump's impeachment. Now, the problem Kevin McCarthy has is that you've got moderate Republicans from swing districts who are out there sounding the alarm bells saying if we get rid of these impeachments, we're all going to lose and then we lose control of the House. Like, this one simple thing is going to lead to an electoral landslide against us next year. You now have Republican operatives saying the same thing. You have Republican analysts. You have Republican pollsters. Everybody, aside from the far-right members of the House of Representatives, are screaming at Kevin McCarthy, saying this is the dumbest thing we could possibly do. But Kevin McCarthy doesn't seem to care. He gave up all of his power to that far-right group in the House of Representatives in order to become Speaker earlier this year. So his hands are pretty much tied at this point, and he is going to have to go along with whatever those lunatics and nut jobs want him to do, even if it means basically committing political, self-destruction at this point. But a couple days ago, Republican analyst named Scott Jennings appeared on CNN. And this is what Jennings had to say about this effort to expunge Donald Trump's impeachments. Here it is. You might get into a situation where it fails. I mean, what if he puts that on the floor and you don't expunge it? I talked to one House member, and maybe the first one might get expunged. I'm not sure about the second one. The optics of this are all bad. And then you take on the political empirical data we have, which voters are thinking about Donald Trump and the things he did and what he represents. We lose elections just like we did in the midterms. All these people want to look forward. These votes will be looking backwards, going into a presidential cycle. That's not the disposition the party should take. And this analyst also talked to, he mentioned the one Republican, but he said he has talked to many Republicans in the House, and they're all on the same page. They're like, listen, we don't want the public to be thinking about Donald Trump's impeachments. Because the two scenarios, he laid out the one, but let's talk about both of them. Let's say the first case scenario is that Republicans bring a bill to the floor to expunge the impeachments of Donald Trump, and they're successful. And those impeachments are expunged. Everybody still knows they happened, right? Like, they can't go around with that little memory eraser from Men in Black door to door being like, hey, bzz, Trump wasn't impeached. Like, no, yes, he was. He was impeached twice. We remember it. It's still going to be in history books. Maybe for now, until Republicans get their hands on them and pass laws saying you can't teach that, kind of like here in Florida where you can't teach that slavery was bad. You have to say, hey, slaves learned helpful stuff. But until that happens, you'll still be taught about Trump's impeachments. We're going to remember it. There's got to be clips of it. There's got to be people on videos like myself talking about, hey, Donald Trump got impeached again. You can't get rid of all those. We will still remember it happened. The only thing that will happen is that the public will look around and be like, holy crap, these Republicans in Congress have been there since January. It's now, approaching the end of July. They've done nothing except for protect Donald Trump. Like, all of these hearings that they have been about protecting Donald Trump and trying to make Biden and his son look bad. They have done nothing to benefit me, and they're still trying to lick Donald Trump's boots every chance they get. Yeah, voters aren't going to like that at all. So that's the one scenario where they do pass it, and of course the voters are pissed off. They still get defeated next year. The other option is that they bring it to the floor, like Mr. Jennings said, and it doesn't pass. Well, then we all know what happens. Then Donald Trump gets super pissed. Then this starts dominating the headlines, which of course, once again, puts the impeachment back in everybody's minds. They remember how horrible he was. It comes back to hurt Republicans again in 2024, and it hurts Donald Trump's electoral chances, drops him in the polls because everybody remembers that he was impeached twice and how horrible he was as a president. So literally, no matter which way you slice it, because those really are the only two scenarios, Republicans lose. It is a lose-lose situation being pushed by Republicans in safe Republican districts. See, that's the part that everybody doesn't ever really talk about. All of these extreme, horrible behaviors that we see coming from members of the House of Representatives on the right are coming from people who aren't going to lose their elections. Because they do happen to sit in districts where, hey, we love Donald Trump, we want it expunged. Okay, great. But you got 434 other members of that House of Representatives who may not sit in a district like you do. You know, yes, we're always going to have Republicans in the House because we've got deep red districts. Some were gerrymandered that way, some simply exist that way. And those Republicans have nothing to worry about. But those aren't the seats that will flip-flop back and forth in every election cycle. And there's enough of those flip-flop districts, the so-called swing districts, the purple districts, whatever you want to call them, where if a Republican does something just even a little bit too extreme, or a Democrat does something a little bit too extreme, the voters are going to switch parties in the next election, and suddenly control of the House could easily flip. Republicans don't have a big enough majority in that House right now to do something this stupid. But I guarantee you, they're going to keep trying. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.